Howdy folks, in today's video we'll go ahead and take a look and review the Ambient Weather Wi-Fi wireless weather station WS-2000. This weather station will be replacing my current WS-1000 weather station that I had for the last 5 years and 5 months. The console on that just died here a couple of weeks ago, and I also knew that I'll be having to replace it fairly soon because I started to see inaccurate readings for outdoor humidity and wind speed information. And then when the console died, well, it was time for an upgrade. And WS-2000 is also a wireless weather station, which will allow me to connect the console via Wi-Fi without having to run any additional equipment or run it to the computer and then keep any software running on the computer 24/7. So here's some information that I have on the box that you can read and pause as needed, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at everything else and get that installed. The outdoor array will wirelessly transmit data onto the console, and that will include the wind direction, wind speed, rainfall, temperature, humidity, as well as the UV and solar radiation. And the indoor sensor will transmit onto the console as well, and that will include the barometric pressure and also include the temperature and the humidity. And here is the outdoor array. On the left we have the rain collector with the rain gauge, and then to the right of that we have the water center bubble to make sure everything is centered and aligned when we do the installation. We do need to remove the sticker from the solar panel in order to allow the weather sensor to transmit wirelessly during the day and utilize the batteries at night. Here we have the UV and the light sensor, then a place for the wind vane and the wind speed gauge right here that we'll install in just a moment. The rain collector engaged is actually self-emptying, so it will go ahead and do that when enough rain accumulates. The resolution of that is 0.01 of an inch. Here's a closer look at the UV and the light sensor, as well as the north pointing arrow right next to it in order to assist you when you're installing the station. On the underside of the weather array, this is where we'll go ahead and install the batteries. Non-rechargeable is what they're recommending for this station. A place for the pole to be installed. Pole is not included. I have covered up the serial number of the weather station. And then here we have the weather shield and the heat shield for the temperature and the humidity sensors. And here's all of the mounting hardware that we get. The plate bracket with the U-bolts. A pole, unfortunately, is not included, though I will be able to reuse the one that I have. The wind vane and the wind cups are mounted to the respective location and are held in place by tightening the single screw that is available on them. Make sure that you, when you tighten it, that it spins freely, but is also tight enough so it doesn't come off. The inside sensor will display the temperature, humidity, and the pressure, and is operated by 2 AA batteries. The console display will have 2 mounting options. You can use the kickstand to stand it on a flat surface, or there are 2 mounting holes with screws. The screws are provided where you can actually mount it on a wall. It comes with a nice and comprehensive user manual. However, if you will end up getting the station, read the online version because it already has updates probably to any issues that I found in the current version that came in the box. The rain funnel or cover is attached by aligning the 3 tabs that you see here with the tabs that are on that funnel and then rotating it. This way, when you need to open it up in case you want to clean it for spider webs or any debris that have made it inside, it is fairly simple by rotating it to the other direction, opening it up, cleaning it, and putting it back in place. The attachment of the unit to the pole is generally a fairly straightforward process. Here is the plate clamp that you attach between the plastic wall on the right and then the small pins on the left, and then attach the 2 U-bolts and then just tighten that to the pole. Like I mentioned earlier, unfortunately no pole is included in this box, and in my case I am able to utilize the pole that came with my WS-1000 station because the actual attached pole that I do have on the property is smaller than the diameter of the U-bolts, so it will not be held in place, but I can connect the pole that I already have from the old weather station and then just use hose clamps to connect it to the existing pole. One item I am concerned about longevity-wise is this plate bracket being held in place. On the right, we have a fairly rigid wall holding it. On the left side, as you can see, it is being held in place by those 5 pins that are not too long. So I'm just concerned over time, due to heat or weather, if they're going to break off. But that is only something that time will determine. Now with the pole tightened and ready to be installed, the last aspect here is, of course, to put in the batteries. And in my case, I'm using lithium batteries due to the swapping weather changes that we have here in Colorado. You'll see the LED light up here for 4 seconds, and after that it will blink once every 16 seconds, which is the transmission interval period to the console. Alright, now it's time to start up the console and see how everything works and get everything tested. One item that I'll mention right away is how fast this item boots up. It's booting up ridiculously fast, which is very nice. Once it is up and running, test everything to make sure that it is working and that there are no issues, no problems before you actually go and mount it. Make sure that everything is being detected, and as you can see, it is detecting the outdoor and the indoor transmissions fairly quickly here. And also, you know, play with the wind gauge and the wind vane to make sure everything is working successfully. The last thing that you want to do is find out that there is a problem once you already have it mounted. So what I did is make sure that we're getting some wind readings, and we are also going to play with a wind vane to make sure that gets updated and make sure that everything is all good before we go up on the ladder and mount this thing. The transmission period is every 16 seconds, as I mentioned earlier. And now we'll go ahead and test the rain gauge as well. So we'll put some water there and see if it registers the reading. And every time it clicks, it's going to go up by 1/100th of an inch. So in this case, it clicked twice. I'm expecting it to go up by 0.02 of an inch here. Here we go. And we'll go ahead and put some more water in. 2 more clicks. So it should update it to 0.04. And then we had 1 more click, 0.05. Here we go. Seems to be working correctly. And now we're putting a whole bunch of water in, and of course we're going to overwhelm it. And we can see that it went up to 0.09. The rain gauge here seems to be fairly well made, actually, because on the WS-1000 station that I had, heavy wind or sometimes hail would still trigger the rain sensor because it was so sensitive that it would actually register some clicks. In this case, I can shake this rain gauge fairly vigorously, and as you can see, it is not giving me any false readings, which is excellent. Alright, so we got everything connected, mounted, and secured, and we're getting some weather readings. So I will keep an eye on this for over the next week or so, and then we'll continue on with the review with the indoor console and any observations that I may have. With everything connected, let's go ahead and do a tour of the indoor console. We'll start with the icon indicators on the top, and the first one on the left here is going to be the Weather Underground symbol. Once your system is actually online and communicating to Weather Underground, given the credentials you have input during setup, this icon will light up. The next icon here is that it is broadcasting to ambientweather.net, and it seems to be broadcasting there as soon as your system is online. So unlike with Weather Underground, where you have to input credentials, it seems that your system is sending your data to them right away. Now obviously it's still private, but it is still sending data to them as soon as the system is online. And this is our Wi-Fi indicator icon. So right now we're getting 3 out of 4 bars in terms of our Wi-Fi signal connectivity at the moment. And the last item here, the gray bars, is the sensor indicator from the weather station, the signal health. So if it is going to skip sending some updates to the console, it will actually start dropping those bars. And as long as you get all of the bars, then you know you're getting your updates without any issues. The last item that I'll mention is between those 2 icons here, you see a little bit of black space here. This is going to be an indicator if your outdoor sensor array is actually getting low on batteries. You'll have a red indicator right here. On the top right hand section, you'll get the month, date, year, and the current time, which in setup you can synchronize with a time server. Looking at the rest of the information, we'll have the outdoor temperature here. along with the daily highs and the lows. We'll also have the wind information displayed here with the wind gusts, as well as two indicators, the blue one letting you know where is the current wind information, the current direction of the wind, but the gray one will give you the 10-minute average. So the blue one will jump around here, once in a while, every time it gets an update, as the wind is obviously not constant often, but the gray one will give you the 10-minute average. You'll also get the indoor temperature here, and then the indoor humidity. And in my case, I also have two additional sensors that I've purchased. So we have channel 1 right here and channel 2 right there. So we can actually go ahead and enable the channel 1 option, channel 2, or we can go ahead and have it go on cycle, which means it will actually display the indoor temperature and then start displaying as the channels that we have set up with the additional sensors. So it's going to go through that cycle periodically. You can also give your additional sensors a different name in the settings section. Moving along, we get the feels like temperature, the dew point information, the outdoor humidity, and the 10-minute average for the wind right here. And we also have the max daily gust. The rain section on the console displays the current daily rain as well as the rain rate. So right now it is raining outside at 0.24 inches an hour, and this indicator right here will only light up when it is actually in fact raining, so you know that, well, it's raining outside in case you don't want to look at the window. And the higher the rain rate, it appears that this icon will change based on that rain rate. On the right side of the section here, it'll give you how much rain we had for the current event, for the rain event, and you also get hourly, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So that data and the tallies are going to be showing up here. We'll get a barometer reading here, and you can change that between relative and absolute if you want to do that. And also it'll give you the rate change, whether it's increasing or decreasing, and then the actual rate right here. Right now it says it's going to be partly cloudy. Well, it's actually raining right now, but we're in Colorado and the weather changes by the minute, so that's perfectly fine. On the left bottom section of the console, it will display the sunrise, the sunset, as well as the sun positioning throughout the day. So as the day goes on, you'll see it kind of move along the way right here along the curve, and it'll also give you the current moon phase. In this case, we're going to have a new moon today. You'll also get the solar radiation information displayed right here, as well as the UV index. For the buttons on the console, here you can increase or decrease the brightness. Right now we're going to set the brightness on maximum since we're recording the video. You can also control whether you want the display on or off using the button right here. The next button here will allow you to control the background, so you can have it displayed white background or dark background. Personally, I prefer the dark one, but that's your choice on the one that you pick. The next button right here will be for the relative or absolute barometer reading. And the channel button right here is going to be whether you wanted to display just indoor temperature, the specific channel sensor that you have set it as, 1 or 2, or you can go ahead and set it with the cycle option, so then it's going to rotate through all of the sensors. The history or the archive right here, it will give you the maximum minimum information that you have, and then you can also press it again and then scroll through the different historical periods that you have that it recorded. And you can also get a graph and then back to the historical data. Let's go ahead and take a look at the setup menu options. In setup, you can control the date and time information, and you can also have it synchronized with a time server so that the date and time is always up to the second. You also have the ability to show the time format that you want it to be displayed as for the dates. Same thing for the temperature, barometer reading, wind speed, rainfall units, solar radiation, etc. If you have multiple sensors, like in my case, I've purchased additional 2 sensors, so you can actually look at them here, and then you can also give them a separate name. So instead of channel 1, channel 2, you can call it upstairs, downstairs, etc. So that information is here, and if you ever need to re-register it, it looks like you have that ability right here. Moving along, for the backlight information, you have the ability to set up that it goes on and off automatically. So in my case, it goes on at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it will turn off at 11:15 p.m. at night. And it also has automatic brightness adjustments if you choose to utilize those. If you enter longitude and latitude information in here, you'll be able to get accurate sunrise and sunset information. Barometer display, you have the option to choose whether you wanted to display relative or absolute barometer reading. You have the option to show the rainfall season start month. In this case, the default is January. I'm not exactly sure the usefulness of that feature yet. The interval time frame is how often do you want the historical archive data recorded. The default is 5 minutes. Weather server is where you enter the Weather Underground information that is given to you by Weather Underground. Wi-Fi scan is where you set up your Wi-Fi for your network and input your password for the network. Background, this is where you can choose whether you want the dark or the light background. Other menu options include setting up alarms. So if you want an alarm to be triggered when there is a high or low for any of the conditions listed on the screen here, you have that option, and it will basically beep on the console when that condition is met. And the calibration screen allows you to offset information or data if there are any issues that need to be corrected. On the factory screen, you can re-register the transmitters for the indoor or the outdoors. You can automatically have the option to clear the maximum and minimum values. You can reset it to factory settings on the console. You can clear the history. You can clear minimum and maximum values. And you can also back up data to the SD card. The About screen will also display the console information in case you need any data for troubleshooting. On the side of the console, we have the power port right here. We have a USB port, but that is not used for any consumer type of functions. I think it's just for servicing the console. And we also have a micro SD card slot, and that is used to upgrade firmware or if you want to back up historical data to the micro SD card slot. In my case, I can insert it in, no problem. To get it out, I kind of have to use tweezers. I think there is a spring or something not working too well on my micro SD card slot. Overall, the console is very nice, and the setup process was relatively straightforward as well, given that I've already done that in the past. So it is just going through the console, putting in the right information to set it up. But overall, it is a fairly straightforward process. Something we do not have the ability to do here is to customize the console, so it is take it or leave it. In my case, I wished I would have had better or increase the font for the humidity information. It is just too small. It's about 1/4 of an inch, which means if you're a couple of feet away or if you're going to hang the console somewhere, you're just not going to be able to see it. You can see the temperature, wind, obviously indoor temperature and humidity, but any of this data right here, the fonts are just too small. As I said, the biggest one is the humidity that I would have wished to see if we can make it bigger so that we can actually see it from further back. Unfortunately, we cannot do that. And here is our weather data live on Weather Underground. Once everything is connected, it's set up, it sends the data to the Weather Underground, and we can actually monitor it live. How long ago was the last update? And then we can also look at all of the data that the weather station or the console has sent to Weather Underground. So we have the weather, temperature here, dew point, humidity, if it was raining. At the moment when I'm recording this part of the video, it is not raining. Wind and gust information, pressure, and also it will give us the solar radiation data and then the UV data as well. If we had rain, obviously we'll get rain data as well. I get mixed results when trying to utilize Amazon's Alexa and trigger the Ask Ambient Weather skill. Oftentimes it just gives me regular local weather information rather than looking up data from my weather station. I believe that is because the trigger word is Ask Ambient Weather, and oftentimes it just hears the word weather and gives me regular weather information. So potentially in the future, if ambient weather can change how we trigger it, that may improve that. Echo. Ask Ambient Weather about weather report.
The outdoor temperature at Ace Weather is 67.6 degrees. It feels like 67.6. The outdoor humidity is 53% and the dew point is 49.9 degrees. The wind speed is 2.7 miles per hour out of the east-northeast, with gusts up to 4.5 miles per hour. The daily rainfall is 0.51 inches. The relative pressure is 29.95 inches and falling at 0.03 per hour. The UV index is 5, and the solar radiation is 546.6.
Echo. Ask ambient weather about weather report.
Currently, in Aurora it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly cloudy skies.
Echo.
Tonight.
Ask ambient weather about weather report.
Right now in Aurora, it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly
Echo.
cloudy skies.
Ask ambient weather about weather report.
In Aurora, it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit.
And here we can do a quick look at the Ambient Weather App, at least the one that is on the Android version. Seems to be doing a very good job. In fact, I think I like it better than the Weather Underground app that seems to be having issues, random issues at times. This one seems to be working fairly well, has good connectivity, gets good updates, and has all of the information that is available on the console is on the app. In fact, it also has the 2 additional sensors that I've purchased, and the app will also provide that information. So that data is transmitted to ambientweather.net as well. For the devices section, this is where you can enable additional skills. In my case, I have enabled Alexa. I don't have Google, so I have not set that up. But if you do have other compatible devices or systems that can work, such as the IFTTT protocol, then that is something you may want to look at as well. I have set up some notifications. That section is not the greatest, but it does work. You can set some conditions when it will send you an alert on email. Most of them work fairly well. Some of them, such as battery status, for example, I'm not sure on the parameters they're trying to utilize. I don't know if it's percentages, maybe it's volts. So I'm getting different results regarding the battery monitoring and usage. But for example, if the weather station is not responding, the default option and the only option that they have is 20 minutes. So we cannot control that aspect, but at least you can get an alert if it's down for 20 minutes. I wish we had the ability to actually see if it's down for an extended period of time. So if you have a quick outage over 20 minutes, I don't want to get that alert, but if it is down for 2 hours, I do. We don't have that ability. The only default option is 20 minutes, for example. But other than that, it is a fairly nice and easy to work with app. So good job on Ambient Weather on getting that up and running and getting it to work. All right. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and beneficial. From my side, I hope this thing works trouble-free for many years to come. If I'll have any updates, I'll post them in the comment section of the video. Otherwise, thanks everybody for watching and have a great day.